Go and drive me so crazy. Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy. Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long, want you all night, watch 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 all night. Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Tell me, baby. Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, all your love, all your love. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, baby. Give me all your love, all your love, all your love. Watch all night, 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 watch all night. Tell me why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby. Want you all night long, want you all night long.
Hey, welcome to Straight Talk with Sally. It's podcast batching day. We've had such an amazing podcast batching day. We have our next guest lined up for you, but if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of our podcast batching days, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the bell, and ding ding, you will get notifications. It's so great to see everyone out there on the live stream. Let us know where you're joining us from. It's going to be an awesome day. And our next guest today is ANITA SIEK. She is a lawyer turned brand strategist, copywriter, and CEO of WordFetty, a human-centered brand strategist and copywriting house. Oh, look, anything about sexy words, she makes them look amazing and read amazing. And she doesn't do the normal thing, right? She's really putting a dent in the industry through the power of psychology and words, with a big passion for words, language, and how she can seriously trigger all the emotions, all the feels, baby, inside of the reader. And her team at WordFetty are on a mission to spread the power of the one most powerful tool we as humans have, being words, in igniting world change, ideas, provoking thought, and driving meaningful action. Now, ANITA has been featured in Forbes, Mumbrella, Smart Company, Thrive, and so many amazing places. Also, she's down under with me, baby. It's really nice to have a local on the show. She is, look, let's just get over and chat with her because I'm so excited for today. We're going to have a lot of laugh and a lot of fun. Hello, ANITA. Welcome to the show.
Sally, what a welcome. Oh my goodness, there are sound effects. What is this? This is amazing. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Oh, me too, darling. It's so nice to see you. And, well, congratulations on your big, long honeymoon that you just got back from. I mean, seriously, girl, getting to travel the world, laptop lifestyle at its best. I mean, what Wow. So before we get stuck into all the sexy words and that what we're going to speak about today, could you share with everybody a little bit of your backstory about you, how you got to where you are and, love and life and all the good stuff?
Taking everyone on the memory lane.
Yeah.
Okay, I can totally do that. So, all right. So my journey is very non-linear. Probably, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs is very non-linear. We did not like literally pop out and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna be business owners today." Yeah, no. So, a little bit of background story. I studied law and psychology in university. I um, came from a very, I guess, traditional like Asian upbringing, if I'm to be honest, where it was literally doctor or lawyer, which one? Um, and Anita doesn't like blood. There was a period of time where I did want to potentially be a vet though, because I love animals. I've got my 2 furry babies just literally here beside me now. But then I realized that I had to also put animals down if I was a vet, and I was like, I would be the one that is not okay. Um, so lawyer it was. So I did the corporate thing, studied both the degrees, became a lawyer. Um, and I think there was a moment in time, there was probably 2 big life moments for me that kind of was a watermelon to the head moment for me that kind of had me rethink what do I actually want to do. I think the first watermelon to the head moment was I lost my dad quite suddenly in between this period when I was kind of studying and then getting admitted and all of that. And he was the most hardworking man I know. Things could be so wrong, but he would just be like picking it back up and everything would be okay. So that was a big watermelon moment to the head for me. And the other one was, I was slowly climbing the corporate ladder, but I would just not feel anything. I don't know if that made sense, but like just some of you guys will probably resonate. Like you climb up the corporate ladder, you're like, yep, once I get that role, I'll be so happy. You reach that role and you're like, is this it? So I think I've always been a creative person, I feel, but I think that just wasn't the sexy thing to do. Don't apparently get paid or you don't have a great career as a creative, as a writer, which is what I'm just so fascinated about. I love words. So that was always the side thing. So I started Wordfetti as a side thing originally, and then it just completely snowballed purely through word of mouth. Started writing websites, copy for clients, and was booked months in advance. That was probably 6 years ago now. And then since then, we've completely expanded. There's 3 arms to Wordfetti. There is a school, there is the studio, of course, and then there is a shop for copywriting templates. And then there is also myself, where I get to hang out with, people like you. That just freaking has lightened, like completely brightened up my day today, just hanging out with you, Sally, today. And I freaking love it. I love what I do. I'm just so fascinated by language and how certain words make people feel. Like I could be like, Sally, I'd like to work with you versus I'd love to work with you. It's a very similar sentence, but a very subtle tweak in language there would have yielded a completely different feeling. So that's what I'm so passionate about. Like I geek out over it.
Yeah, that's very awesome that, through tragedy, which isn't great, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs find their way into our world, and there's usually some kind of tragic backstory I think it's that, wow, life is really short. I need to be happy. I came from corporate. I was working in Centrelink. I mean, corporate, like the government corporate. Yeah. And it was...
I was government too, yeah.
Soul sucking, right? Like just every day it was literally just to make money, and I wasn't happy. And then we lost a son, and then it was again eye-opening, right? Watermelon to the head, as you would say. I'm like picturing this watermelon like smashing and seeds going everywhere, and that's what it's like. And then you're like, there has to be more, right? There has to be more. Yeah. So you fell in love with words. Now I have to say, this is about the extent of my library right here. Actually, we had a guest on earlier this morning and she's got this big, huge bookshelf, and I'm like, yep, that's if I really love it, I'll buy the book. Otherwise, I'm an Audible person. But I was flicking through your website and it is so fun to read. I literally sent it to our visuals girl and I said, check out how sexy this website is. Like, it's humorous. The words are really fun. It's easy to read. It's not big chunks of text and it's fun. Like, you can really see there's so much character in the way you write. So yeah, I am not that type of writer at all. I write like a fifth grader and I stutter type. Right. So I'll write and I literally it's my daughter's 18th birthday today. And I wrote on her birthday card and I gave it to my husband to read, a big, long, heartfelt thing. And I said, how many spelling mistakes are there? He says a few.
But can I just say something, Sally? Can I just say something? You said you write like a fifth grade, but the thing is, do you know how hard it is for people to actually just write in a very simple manner, like a fifth grade level? I actually say this to my students. I'm like, okay, but your understanding level is this. If you talk like this to your ideal audience, it's not going to land.
Yeah.
They're not going to be on the same understanding level as you. So, hey, like, don't say it like it's a bad thing.
No. My spelling and my grammar, it's horrible. My daughter, when she was 8, she was correcting my spelling. But I'm good with that. Funny thing was, my husband read the card and I said, how many spelling mistakes? He's like, lots, but don't change them. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm like, I bet you I'm missing R on your and things. He goes, yep. I said, how many? He says, a few. So they all get it now. They embrace the misspelt stuff, but it was the heart that's in it, right? Now we're 100%. Here today to talk about how to write and not be boring, even if you're not a good writer. And I'm sure many of our listeners and viewers will be fascinated by this because it's a huge thing and it's a huge part as entrepreneurs. We need to embrace words because how are we going to attract people to us? And I love that you dive into the psychology part of copy and words. So can you describe to us, the psychology of copy and words? We'd love for you to give us a bit of a description around that.
Yeah, I love this question because I think so often when we think about writing or when we think about words, we jump straight to what high school or primary school is like, writing an essay, writing an assignment. You've got to have 1,000 words, 15,000 words, and then you've got to put words in white text to like build up the word count. You guys know what I'm talking about. That is not copy. So there's definitely a difference between what we were taught. So I want to talk about that first. What we were taught in school versus what copy is. What we were taught in school was really to describe. Like, let's just say a dog. As an example, a dog is black and white, and it's a Shih Tzu. I've got a Shih Tzu. It's a Shih Tzu.
Me too.
You use it to describe.
Yeah.
You? I've got 2 Shih Tzus too.
Oh, yay.
I freaking love them.
I know. So
I love that. The underbite, I just can't. Okay, yeah. So you could either describe it or, like, let's just say I'm thinking like a dog groomer now, right? Like, if you're really wanting to target Shih Tzu owners like you and I, right? You could be like, we can help you clean or, make sure your little dogs or dogs are clean and smelling amazing. Or you could get so specific with the language where it's just like, the cheeky temper, the underbites, and and get really specific with a particular breed if we're really wanting to target Shih Tzus, for example, and really speak to the audience, because the difference between just writing for the sake of writing and copy is the fact that the whole goal of copy is to get someone to take action. And that's the thing. I think so often we're like, oh, how can we make something sound more amazing? But that's not always the first lens we should be looking at it as. How can we actually speak and create copy in a way that the audience or the reader can actually be like, wow, Sally, or wow, blah. Like, it's like you are in my head. And I feel that element of connection now. So now I feel like I want to learn more about whether or not you can help me with a pain point that I've got. So to answer your question, though, about the intersection of psychology and copy, at the heart of it, copy is communication. It's connection, right? It's communication. Words are the primary means for us as humans to connect with one another. And it's a tool we all have that can either, I could say fire, but that word could mean something bad, or that could mean something really exciting depending on the different contexts. And I guess where psychology comes in is when the end audience is human. And I say this so often to our clients and students, we can't just write something and then never touch it again. And that's it, right? Because as humans, our pains, our desires, what we're scared of is going to change at any given moment. Let me give you an example. It's, mortgage interest rates are going like crazy across the globe, not just Australia at the moment. So I'm hearing a lot of, conversations in the business industry at the moment where it's just like people are not buying anymore, people are not tight with their purse strings, and they're not spending money. But the thing is, people are still spending. People are actually still spending money, but they are spending money where they're prioritizing. And this is where copy comes in. If you can actually understand how no matter what pandemic or economic wobbles, if you can understand at any given time how your audience in that moment would still need to prioritize the solution that you've got, that is when you can win. That is what can actually help you get cut through in a marketplace where everyone is still saying the same thing, right? You can really speak to them in a way that's like, okay, I understand why this, why now, and why you, which I believe are the three key questions you must be able to answer if you want someone to take action. So I hope that kind of envelopes the answer. They're a little bit
Yeah,
cleaner.
definitely. And I think that when you know, I like your words are to take action, right? That's what at the end we're trying to do. We're inspiring them to take action through the use of words. And I mean, you do it in such a really beautiful way, I have to say, because I can tell you, for somebody who doesn't enjoy reading, I'm a listener, and to go, like I was saying about your website, to go to your website, I kept reading. Where a lot of the time I'm like scanning, but I was reading because the way in which you write is captivating and entertaining at the same time. And that's why I reached out to you to say, I need to get you on, because the way in which you write is unique. It is really, and I can see why, you're doing so well, because you really do capture the essence of people with the way in which you write. So you should be so proud of like the business you've created. And for somebody who doesn't read, who enjoyed to read your stuff.
Yeah, that made me happy. That made me happy. Can I add one more bit? Can I add one more bit there? I think so often when we are not writers, or when we don't think we're writers, or we don't think we are good at writing, the real reason why I feel like people feel stuck when it comes to writing words that will yield that result of people being like, oh my gosh, it just is so flowy and it is so magnetizing and it's just grabs my attention, is they're writing from the wrong lens. And what I mean by that is they're writing from a space of, okay, so if my brand is X and I need to say this, how can I make this sound more awesome? Whereas what we need to look at and shift very quickly, and this is very quickly within 1 minute, invite anyone who feels like this to really shift the seat from writing from the business owner lens to writing from the lens of the audience, and ask, what does the audience want to see? What do they want to feel? What do they want to know? And what do they want to read? If you can write from that lens, it's a completely different energy when you're writing. It's no longer, because it feels a bit when you're writing like all about yourself and how it's a bit trickier. But when you can really shift the seats from me to but what does my audience want to see, feel, know, and read? And that's exactly how I approach, for example, the website even. What would my ideal audience want to see, feel, know, and read? And how would they want to consume that piece of content? It's almost like we're friends without us even, meeting in person or online yet, So yeah, just a little more of a golden nugget. Gem.
Yeah, for sure. All good golden nuggets. Always got my student hat on too whenever we have guests on the show. Selfishly, having a podcast, as you would know, is a great way to learn from people, right?
Yes. Literally.
Totally. So, why words and language and nailing your communication? Why is this key?
Yeah, I think I shared this quote somewhere before.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try and not F it up, but I think it's like you can start a business. You can start a business, and I know this sounds really controversial, but stay with me. But you can technically start a business without a logo, but you actually cannot have a business without words.
Mm.
And this is not me discounting the value of design or value it's very important, don't get me wrong, but if we're really to think about it, without words, you cannot actually have a business or grow it. You actually cannot. Like, you use words when you're on the phone, even if it's like a sales call, or a discovery call, you use words in emails, you use words literally, on a sales page, on a website, right? And I think when we consider words and copywriting less from the space of it's just this thing we have to do to describe our business, but more from a space of, again, connection, because before conversion, it's connection. But if we can really look at this as a space for us to actually connect with our audience first and deliver value, that's when then the conversions or the sales, whatever that might look like, or your objective will then land. So that's why I believe it is important for us to actually pour focus. I know I'm biased, but like pour focus into really being able to use words and communicate in a way that feels flowy. Because and this is another thing that I usually say. It's like when, for example, Sally, if I am going to start talking and I'm a business owner trying to tell you the value of what we're selling and I've got the solution to your pain point, if I wobble, you're going to wobble. If I do not feel confident and freaking backing myself up with what I'm about to say to you about the value of my offer, you're going to wobble. How can I expect you to feel confident in my offer if I myself do not feel confident about what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah,
So
so
I think
true.
it's really important for us to, it's like an energy, like you feel it. It's like almost like when someone is on stories, they're like, "Hey guys, like I'm just really quickly popping on here to," you can feel it already,
Yeah.
right? Like, why not start the conversation and just continue it and just be like, "You guys will not believe what's just happened. I have to share this with you today." Like, it's a completely different energy. So, um, also a bit of a mixture with that psychology element here too, because like I said, if you wobble, your audience is going to wobble.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So for somebody who is trying to find their own voice, what would be some tips that you could give them around, maybe they can't yet afford to hire a copywriter? What would you say is a great way to start to find your voice in, copy?
Mhm. Good question. So I think I want to start off with, so there's two things. I think I first want to start off with the biggest mistakes people make when it
Yeah.
comes to finding their voice. I think the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to finding their brand voice is they jump straight to, oh, how can I make this sound more punchy, conversational, friendly? And they're usually the top three. And the thing is, conversational is not like a voice. That's not a, you want it to sound conversational. Like, it should be conversational. It shouldn't sound like a robot. Like, so it's so tricky when someone or a client or a student is just like, oh, I just want to make it more conversational. I just want to make it sound, but that should always be the goal. You should not be writing copy where it doesn't sound flowy. You know what I mean? So I think instead of looking at it as these words like conversational, punchy, uh, or what's another one that usually comes about, like more interesting, um, I'd invite for anyone who's listening who wants to find their voice to first consider, how does your audience actually want to feel? Start off there. If, for example, I'll use me as an example. Let's just say my audience are business owners, small business owners, let's just say that, and they are freaking overwhelmed with copy, right? How would they ideally like to feel? Like, what would they love to feel in this moment? Do they want to feel excited about copy? And there's no right or wrong answer, but start off with, how do you actually want your audience to feel? So that's the first stage. Do you want to feel like, oh, it's like a load off my shoulders? I feel lighter now. I feel excited I want to feel excited about writing copy. I have so much to share, or I want to feel more confident. Like, what do you want your audience to feel first? I think secondly, you then want to obviously consider and do a bit of a scan of, well, who else is in the space? Because if someone else is really creating a positioning around, if another copywriting agency is really creating a positioning around making copy um, more fun and exciting and all of that, then you want to kind of inject your unique perspective or insight. So here is where you could either look at your experience, look at your insights. How can you inject in something that's quite different to you and your perspective into this? So, for example, for us, I like to kind of we lean in a lot in Word Fetty, hopefully through the name that of the fun element. So we really want to make words something that people want to play with, experiment with, test. And we teach this with our students where we're wanting you to experiment with words, like try to see like which messaging route works better. So that's the kind of feeling we've enveloped. And then only then do we then consider, okay, well, how would this sound? Like, what's the behavior of this voice? So we work backwards instead of just putting a label on something and being like, we're going to sound conversational, we're going to sound cheeky. We're going to look at first, what does the audience we want to attract need to feel first? We articulate that and then we start to craft the voice. So that is probably one of the biggest, well, first of all, the mistake, but also the tip that I want to really share with the listeners. Really start off first by asking, what does your audience need to feel in order to want to buy with you? Like, do they want to feel excited in order to buy with you? Do they want to feel at ease? Do they want to feel seen? What are all the things they need to feel in order to want to buy with you? Right. So yeah, that's the question I'd be asking.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that it starts with the emotional feeling. I mean, everything that we do all starts somewhere within an emotion, right? Within our mindset, our thought patterns. And it's like reverse engineering, really, your voice. It's starting with the end goal in mind. So I know my Ma sent you a list of questions that I may ask, but I'm just going off on all kinds of tangents here to pick your brain.
Love it.
What about AI? I'm really interested from somebody who is a copywriter, makes a living off of copywriting. What's your views? And I'm sure this comes up a lot, especially in your industry right now, around AI and the whole chat GPT thing that's going on.
I love this question.
Yeah,
I was
thought you might.
hoping you would ask me this. Brain sync. Okay, so first of all, I guess this may or may not be controversial, but it's funny. I have to share a really quick story. I remember being in Uber recently, and it was actually a woman actually that was driving me, which was awesome. And we got to chatting, and she was a business owner, and she was like, "Oh, how awesome is ChatGPT? Like, it's going to replace copywriters and marketers, like content writers. Like, I don't even know how copywriters can even, continue on with ChatGPT because I used to have a copywriter and now I've got ChatGPT and it's just awesome." We got talking. Anyway, she was like, "Oh, so what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a copywriter." I'm a copywriter. But you know what? There is this conversation that's going on about how ChatGPT is going to replace copywriters. But the first thing I'll say is I freaking love ChatGPT and AI, and I am excited. I feel like we're just at the beginning. But the second thing I think is really important, and the reason why I love it is ChatGPT or any other AI platform is only as good as what you can write as an input.
Yep.
If you write a vanilla prompt, you are going to get a vanilla piece of content.
Yeah.
So it still goes back to your ability to clearly communicate what's from your mind into words, right? If you cannot clearly articulate from your mind into words what you want ChatGPT to do, you're going to get a vanilla piece of code because that's exactly what ChatGPT is going to do, going out there into the interwebs and the search engines to find the information that is very easily Googleable. But if you want to stand out different, that's probably not the best approach, right? But if you know your voice, for example, if you know what makes you different, if you know how to translate the magic and brilliance in your mind into words and then input that into ChatGPT, you are like, that is gold. The amount of time that it has saved even us when it comes to processes. We've been testing it with processes. We've been testing it in terms of even our own content repurpose. Like it's, I'm sure there's probably gaps in terms of what we've tested as well. And we're still at the beginning of it, right? So that's probably the first thing I'd say, that ChatGPT is only as good as the input that you put in it. And I think the second thing that is really fascinating about ChatGPT is that so I've invested in the 4 version, like the one where
Yep.
you have to like pay a monthly subscription, which is a big difference for like I've seen a big difference in terms
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
paying for
way
it
it.
as well. Yeah, just so I can play more.
Yeah, right, literally, like it's so much fun. But it learns. Like it's like literally like a baby. Like literally
It has.
you can teach it a system. So that's the other thing. Like if you are, whether or not you're a copywriting agency, content agency, ads agency, that might be a bit scared about ChatGPT taking over your job, but all of that, if you can envelope what you do and your unique system or whatever into something that's clear, and you teach the system how to think and learn and all of that, and get it to read certain things and learn it and blah 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 blah, that again is really powerful, where you're actually teaching it things. Yeah, teach it, chat
Yeah.
gpt
I know.
things. So yeah.
I've been, same as you've
Yeah,
been
big
playing
fan.
with it. I'm starting to notice, and first off, anyone who's watching live, you may have been noticing words changing on the screen. So Anita started out as John Bellamy because I didn't have my scene set up right. Then I had your name spelt right. I believe I now have it right. So if everyone's like looking at words changing on the screen, I'm like, oh my God, from all the people that I've interviewed today, the copywriter is the one that I messed up all the lower thirds. Excellent.
So good.
So anyway, we've been playing with it as well, and I'm noticing it's being added into other platforms like Kajabi, Searchy, all of these fabulous pieces of software. And
Oh my God.
I noticed recently it got added into Searchy, and I haven't turned it on yet. But one of my coaches actually has it in their Searchy, and literally you can ask it a question and it now replies like your coach. So if you can
Wow.
input all of your videos, so I mean, I've got thousands and thousands of bits of content and videos that I've made. I just upload them into this software and my students can go and ask it questions and it will reply like it's me. So I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but my coach, one of my coaches has, and I'm like, okay, I need to turn that on
That's freaking
inside of
brilliant.
my software.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got certain ways in saying things and, certain quotes and in ways in which you might say, explain the value ladder or, different marketing terms.
Yeah.
It will reply back like the video. So you don't even have to type the stuff in anymore. Just upload a heap of videos and it'll learn. It's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating. And I think, that's another great hack where you literally like copy and paste like transcripts
Yeah.
and all of that and get it to learn your voice, because that's, but then again, it's based on the input, right? It's again based on the input of what you say, what you have said as well, Sally, because that's the only, as soon as you've got that, it's like gasoline. Like literally, you can then do actually anything with that. So I love that. That's freaking brilliant.
I
What you
think
just mentioned.
it's creating a whole other industry of people who know how to use the software correctly. So people like yourself who are playing with it and testing with it, and because it's all, ChatGPT specifically around the words, you training it, I think that's what's going to become super important. Sure, because it's only as good as the person who's using their tippy-tap fingers on the other end. So there's a whole new market opening up for entrepreneurs. I mean, we're at, the infancy stage of where this is going right now. And, it's like one of these marketplaces right now, like get in early, guys. If this is a thing that excites you, you've got the opportunity for an amazing business. But nothing beats the human, honestly. I think in all forms of, there's always technology, right? That's going to take over things that humans do. But that allows us as humans to do more of what we love, right? Isn't that why we build
That's
technology
it.
half the
Yeah.
time, is to take on the stuff we don't want to
That's
do?
it.
So
That's it. I always say it's like ChatGPT is almost like the Canva is to designers. It doesn't mean that we don't need designers and strategists. Oh my gosh, like you need that. But like such a powerful tool now for designers, right?
yeah,
To really help their clients, but also for them themselves, right? It's the same with ChatGPT to copywriters or content writers or even businesses. I think it's going to make it very hard for any business to be like, I can't create content. Well,
yeah,
you like you can, but it's the fact that are you going to be prioritizing it, and also are you going to take the time to really understand how you can potentially learn how to write and translate what's in here, which is the golden nuggets, into words. Can you articulate your thoughts into clear language, right? So yeah,
really,
I'm
really,
fascinated.
really
It's
great
so
point there.
exciting.
Yeah, great point there though too, because I'm the designer, so I make people's things look pretty, right, visually, and you make all their words look pretty. And when Canva came out, I was getting similar questions. You know, what's that going to do for you as a designer? And it's still like, well, it's still coming from a template, and templates are coming from amazing designers now as well, like uploading them. And I went to the recent Canva conference in Sydney, and I met a lot of the people who upload and send images to Canva. Well,
Yeah.
they need a starting base. They need a starting point.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of these people have left jobs just sending images into Canva now. And every time you
Wow.
click that
Wow.
download button, guys, a designer is getting paid. Every time.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
every time you hit that download button, any of those graphics that, you know, are on the pro version, that is a designer getting paid. So some of the designers that I met in Sydney, I'm like, tell me who you are. I'll make sure I go and download. When I'm making a design, I'll make sure
200 tiles.
but I'll go and make sure I'm using your stuff as well, right? So yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
There you go.
I mean, it makes life easier, but it allows us to be better us, allows us to free up and do
Yeah.
more of what we love. And, you know, less and less people are going into jobs they don't like now, right? Because
That's
the world
it.
is our oyster with the internet, online, and all the things. So such a fascinating conversation. I feel like we could just sit here and it's, you know, getting towards a Friday afternoon, almost the wine time, you know, if we just hang out a little longer.
Yep.
So Anita, let's do some sparkle questions with you. So this is some questions that we like to ask to dig a little deeper into you, even though we've gone off onto all sorts of tangents. But at the moment, I was just talking to my last guest as well. I've got a stockpile of Audible credits. So I'm looking for a few good books right now to add to my collection.
Yes.
So name 3 books that have been an inspiration for you. So let's see if I know them.
I'm
And if
literally
not,
going to my Audible account. I'm literally going to my Audible account for you right now. All right. I think, yeah, I'm a big, like, even though I do have lots of books around me, but I actually really like listening. Like, I actually love just being, like, going for a drive and just listening to books. So I'll share with you 3 books there's one which is called 101 Essays That Will Change Your Life by Brianna Weiss. That's one of my favorite books. I've listened to it like a million times and I've read it. I've got it in paper format too. Freaking love it. Every single time I read it, it's like an enveloped hug.
yeah.
Freaking love it. So number 2, I only just finished this. I really enjoyed it. It's called Bending Reality by Victoria Song, and it says how to make the impossible probable. And it really speaks to, I guess, the process and systems that are used by like billionaires and founders and some of the most successful business owners, where they went from something that was just laughable to something that was really like scalable and like a business that just freaking thrived. The other one is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I don't know whether anyone's read that one, but I would highly recommend listening to that one. Because you hear Matthew McConaughey talking, and the way he talks is just great.
Oh, makes my heart pitter patter.
So you know what I'm talking about, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think he really wrote such a beautiful. The book itself, I don't always read biographies or like things like that, but the way
Hmm.
he wrote it, so relatable, but also it really like has really stuck with me, a lot of the things that he shared, which I think is applicable to definitely business owners, because he talked about, I won't ruin it, but he talked about how, he had to say no to the rom-com shows in order to get the Oscar winning roles,
Yeah.
so yeah, like, I mean, that is that's also relevant to where we sometimes have to make hard decisions. To every single no is a yes, every single yes is a no, right? So
He
yeah, those are the
is
3 books.
awesome. Have you ever seen his, I think it was his Oscars speech that he did when he won the Oscar? You should go Google it. It's really,
No, maybe
really
I
good.
should.
Yeah, yeah, totally go
Yeah,
watch
as in
it.
like inspiring.
Yeah,
Okay,
as in
all right, I
inspiring. And
will.
I also saw him do one where I think it was talking to university graduates as well. He is one of those really inspiring actors that, a lot of those like inspirational videos that you will listen to of people's speeches, he's usually in a few of those. He's
Yes.
so inspiring as well, I think. And yes, the way he talks is so sexy.
And just yeah, and down to earth.
It is. He is. He's like, if he was in Australia, he'd be like the really homeboy Aussie bloke, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
totally.
so inspiring. Okay, I have a list here, and actually all of those 3 will go on my list too, because I haven't got any of them. So I'm really excited to dig in. And I only buy them if I really, really love them. So that's why, or if I need to write notes around them and things like that.
So what's one you've got there that
Um,
you've I can't really what's
No,
one
called the
you've got
blurry
that you
one.
really
So
like?
I love all of the EOS stuff. So I've got the whole series of the EOS. So Traction is what I run my business
Yes.
around. We even run our team retreats. So I'll get all my team to fly in from all over, and we'll do 3-day retreats, and we'll actually do the VOS together, the Vision Traction, VTO, sorry, the Vision Traction Organizer together. Every year we will do that. So
Love that.
the whole Traction series I love. So like all those orange ones are all Traction. The other
Right,
one
I'm gonna write
is
that down.
Profit First. It is how I make decision, or how I delegate my money in the business, because most entrepreneurs pay themselves last, where Profit First teaches you to take profit first. And when I first read that book, I was spending 110% on operating expenses. It makes you do an audit of your business. And from that, you then break it up into, it's like the envelope system that my dad actually still uses, the envelopes to delegate your money in. But you've got operating expenses, owner's compensation, so owners actually get paid, profit. You've got an income account that all your money hits and then you distribute it out. Tax, so you don't ever get caught at the end of the year having a big tax bill. And I think that's it. So, yeah, income, operating, profit, tax, and I have a separate little side account, because you can have extra envelopes or extra accounts. So I've got one at the moment to renovate my office. So I put a little bit into that. And so that one there, Traction and Profit First. But Traction, I would say, was a game changer for me, really, because
I've been hearing it pop up so many times.
Really?
It's a sign.
Okay. So
Watch it.
get Traction.
Watch it.
And
No,
the
sorry.
other one,
Listen and get it.
as an entrepreneur, I didn't actually start with Traction. The first book I read in the series from Gino Wickman was Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel talks about
I've heard of
the
that, yeah.
visionary and the integrator and their roles. So every good visionary has usually an integrator that you don't really hear about, but they keep everything running. And they are also the person who can stand up to the owner, the visionary, and say, no, too many ideas, right? Because as visionaries, we tend to go off on all the tangents. So I'm a bit of a integrator and visionary. So I love processes and systems as well. But so I started with Rocket Fuel when it was just me. And then I got Traction. And I actually used to do my own pretend team retreat before I had a team. And so once I got a team, I continued to implement that. And then the other one, what else is, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They should teach that
Oh,
shit in
yes.
schools.
Yes.
They should teach it
Yeah,
in
I agree.
schools. I said to my
Yeah.
daughter, when you buy your first house, it will not be the house you live in. It'll be a house that makes you money.
Yeah.
So I think that that's super
100%. Yeah.
important. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
good
they're
ones.
the ones, and there are lots
Yes.
of notes, lots and lots and lots of notes in those. So, and then we've got
I love that.
my grandmother-in-law is an author, so a couple of her books are back there as well.
Oh,
So
I love that. Yay. Yeah, I'm going to get into traction.
yes, 100%. Like
In
honestly,
hearing,
it is
like,
one of
which ones this
the
week.
best books. Our a lot of our philosophy was help, and our vision and our values and everything that we decided as a team together all come from actually doing traction together, the Vision Traction Organizer. So it's so
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah. And if you
Amazing.
do that with your team,
Yes.
there are people actually who are trained to help you do it. But if you do it with your team, it allows your team to be part of the decision-making process, and they're actually part of the values of the business. Like, I mean, one of the values that our team together came up with internally, not the external values that everybody sees, was like no bullshit. So we all
Yeah.
know in the
Yeah.
team, no bullshit is a huge value to us, because we don't want that corporate water cooler bullshit going on in our small but mighty
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
And one of
Egos
the
at the door.
rules, yes, one of the rules for us is if anyone's bad mouthing or talking behind another team member's back, that person has to say, "Are you going to tell him, or am I?" Who's doing the listening, because we did have some a toxic staff member at one stage, and we've always vowed that would never happen again. And so that was actually determined by the team. So yeah, so there you go. There's my 3 books. Nobody ever asks me on my own podcast what my books are, so thank you.
Yay! Well, I'm curious, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
All right, my next question is, who has been some of the, like, let's say 3 people who have been a huge inspiration to you in your life?
Oof. The first person that comes to my mind is definitely my dad. I think I shared a little bit about this like earlier on, but I think my dad, in how he chooses to show up when shit hits the fan, like, is the biggest thing that always comes to my mind. Like, I know growing up, we had a lot of, I remember, like, just wobbles from both my parents are business owners, ironically. And they were like, do not be a business owner. I'm like, well, it's kind of in the DNA. But they were like, but I saw us, winning, but not winning, winning, not winning, like crashing down. Like, so I've seen the highest of highs, lows of lows, but I feel like the thing that has always stuck with me for the 20 or so years I've spent with my dad is just how he shows up when things don't go right, or when things are so stressful
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of things are pulling his attention. He has this ability to show up with grace, with respect, and sometimes you literally cannot even tell. Not that that's a good thing, but I mean, he's able to just pause and just show up with grace, even when someone else maybe, I don't know, just things are blowing up in the background.
Mm-hmm.
He has this ability to show up with grace. So he's the first person, I think. I think the second person, well, it's like my whole family, but my mum, I'd probably say would be my mum. I think for a completely different reason, though. My mum comes from, I guess, a background where so mum was the youngest out of like 7 or 8. And I think I've seen my mum also shy down on, speaking up her voice. And I think growing up, I've always been told her to, it's like seen but not heard kind of vibe as well. So I've kind of gotten that mix with my dad being confident, but my mum who was like, oh, but shh, like kind of vibe. But I think over the last couple of years, more so in the last 10, 15 years, I've seen my mum really come out of her shell. And I think that has been really inspiring for me to also see for her to really start to speak up, know her boundaries. And, it's she also reminds me of kind of times when, like, what truly matters. I think she is a bit of she's mega the emotional one. My dad was the very, like, logical kind of
Yeah.
person. But yeah, mum has been, yeah, I mean, I saw her last night as well, and she'll cook me food. That's her love language, food, and cut me fruit and all of that. But I think it's just her unconditional, both of them, if I was to talk about both of them, unconditional love for each other, and just, when they put their mind to something, they're gonna go do it.
It's
Um,
beautiful.
I think there was one more person that I have been following quite a bit. In terms of business, I think the people who inspire me the most, actually, now I'm talking out loud, are I'm inspired by people who show up in a way, even when it's hard, and they share the real
Mm,
vulnerable things. Like, I'm
yeah.
inspired by the wins that they've got, don't get me wrong, but when
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about the people that I follow that I'm so inspired by, like, there is nothing more, I don't know, you feel seen and not alone when and I respect them so much more when someone who, potentially has more at stake are willing to share. I lost this because I made a silly decision, or I had this failure that resulted in this, and are just open, on sharing those things, because I think it would be crazy for us as business owners to think that every month was just up, 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 or everything was just perfect and rainbows and unicorns, and you're making 6, 7, 8, 9 figures with ease, working to, like, let's talk about how you actually got there. Like, I'm not saying that that's not happening, but, like, I'd love to learn more from people who are just real, genuine, not going to just treat people as just another number. I'm really
Mm.
inspired by people who, and I love just overall people who are just good humans. So I don't know. That was a very long-winded answer,
Yeah,
but
no, it
people
made
who are
me,
just real, you
yeah,
know?
not being scared. And I know when we go through hard times, it's very hard when you are the face of the business and seen, as somewhat successful, right? When you do go through a hard time, it can be hard to share as well. So when people do have
Yeah.
the confidence to like verbalize that, one for themselves, it's kind of freeing. I know for me, when I've done it, it may be
Mhm.
scary at the time, but then the outpouring of hearts that come back when you do that, right? And I remember
Yeah.
watching Mel Robbins a while ago when she had that TV show. So she was on the television, and I
Mm.
was following her in her stories. I think it might have been on Instagram, and then she lost the show, and then she got really sad, and she didn't hide any of that sadness of
Yeah.
the loss and the grief of, being on TV and then not being on TV. And there was that period, but she didn't shut off from the world. She actually shared her struggle through re-seeing herself through different eyes. And I think like you said, it's really inspiring to see those that are up there that we look up to also
Yeah.
share their vulnerabilities. And I can get how hard
100%.
that can be. So, a lot of the time,
Yep.
I know myself personally, I don't tend to share it until after I've gotten through to the other side.
Yes,
And
totally. Once you've, like, digested all the lessons, like, because
yeah,
really in the thick of that moment, you just wanna
yep,
ugly
yep.
cry.
Oh, exactly. I'm very good at the ugly crying, that's for sure.
Me too.
I did go live for 365 days many, many years ago. And I kind of built a muscle up with being quite vulnerable on my lives and sharing, because I was doing it every day, sometimes multiple times a day. But
Yes.
now not doing it, like I consistently go live every week at least once, but I'm less like that now. I think I've kind of lost that muscle a little bit of sharing and being as vulnerable as I was when I was practicing doing it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I was a
Oh
bit
my God,
crazy.
365 days live, that's
I
cool.
did. I think it was about 2016, 2017, somewhere around there.
Did you
Yeah.
know
So,
what you were gonna talk about every day? Or
no,
was it kind
no.
of just
Some days it was planned. I would say
oh,
out of 7 days in the week, maybe 4 of them were like, oh, I've got to go live. Let's put a few dot points down and actually give value. Other times it was like I had eye surgery during that time, and I had, I come home. I'm like a pirate. I wasn't feeling great. Went live. Hi, I'm live. I'm home. Bye. you know. Another night I had an argument with my husband. I had ugly cried and I went live. But instead of showing my face, we had a fire pot out the backyard burning, and I just showed the fire flames. I'm like, who loves to sit and meditate and watch the flames dance? Me too. Let's enjoy it together. And then I just sat there with the phone looking at the
I
fire
love
for like
that.
a minute so people could meditate with me. And then I turned off
That's
the phone
very
and I went
cool.
back to ugly crying. But the other thing was, yeah, I did do content and share, but now I have so much content that my podcast
Yeah.
manager just goes back into the archives of thousands of videos and she can pull out 5-minute quick tips for the podcast or
So
for
good.
reels. But I can tell you I've lost that urge to pick up and just go live anymore. I just, my family after 12 months, every time I pick my phone up, run. They don't want to be on camera at all. Funny thing is my husband's actually on TV, but he doesn't really get on the television
That's so
or
funny.
on the phone with me on the live streams, which I'm like, but why? You do it for the TV show.
It's like I'm having a break. This is the one time I want to have a break. I can't escape it.
And my daughter's very reserved and quiet and she doesn't like social media. So, but now I've lost the urge. I had a staff member come and stay with me for 3 months and oh my goodness, it was so wonderful because she would make sure that stuff was happening and I didn't have to think about it. I kind of felt a little Gary V
that sounds
actually. You know how he's got someone following them around all the time? Yes, Joyce, I'm talking to you if you're listening. You made me feel like Gary V, like this little, you know, she's following me around with the camera all day, making me do things. But
Oh my God, I love that.
I actually got off my butt so much more when she was here because she'd make me go outside and make reels and things where she's not here anymore and
That would
I
be like a
literally
full-on-
hardly move.
Oh, oh. That would be
She's
like a
laughing.
full-on, what's
She
it
is
called?
watching. I thought she would be watching.
Oh, bless.
I lost weight when she was here because she made me do so many more things. It was amazing. So I've got to get her
That's
back here to
freaking
work.
brilliant. I love that. Yes, Joyce.
So what about
Everyone
you?
needs a Joyce.
You've got a team and, you know, growing a business. Tell me, what's that been like for you?
I'd love to say that it's been just like a natural thing to do. I think for me, my biggest hazard cone when it comes to building the team has been my own hazard cone of not wanting to let things go because there's this certain degree of idea in my head that it needs to cross. But then I realize, I think this is a really big moment for me, probably 2 years ago. Was the fact that every single time I said, "Yep, I'll just quickly do it," which I could probably do it very quickly in maybe 5-10 minutes, is I am pretty much telling the team member, whoever that might be, that it must always come through Anita for it to be okay, right? So
Yeah.
I'm literally creating my own jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like literally
Yeah.
creating this which the thing is, as soon as I started to let that go, and I mentioned with you before we start recording that I just went on my honeymoon for a month and I barely worked. In fact, probably make 1 or 2 days because I had coaching calls to run, but the team freaking killed it. Like, and better than what I could have done. And that's the thing. Like, it took so long for me because I attached so much of that to me and my worth that I just didn't want to let go of anything. And I think that has been probably the biggest hazard cone for me, which was just hoarding like all the things because this is how I've done it and I don't know whether I can or it's probably going to take me longer to teach all these things, which I think it's taken me a long time probably, and I'm still learning, but probably the big moment for me was probably around 2 years ago when I was like, wow, I am still editing the little transcript things. Like I should not be doing, like my time is better spent connecting with our customers and clients and students and all of that. So that has been my biggest wobble when it comes to growing the team. I think I'm also one positive that's come out of this is I freaking adore my team. Like they are such good humans.
Yeah.
They are really good people. And I think I used to, and again, full transparency, I recognize probably around 4 or 5 years ago, I wasn't the best leader because I almost didn't know what it took. Like I was very much like boom, 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 boom. Let's get it done. Like let's get things done. Whereas I think it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I was like, I'm such a human person. Like I love getting to know people's stories. I love just deep, genuine conversations, and getting to know people. But there was this fear of getting to know my team. I didn't want to cross the boundaries of that. And then I was like, who the heck made that freaking rule? And I started to get to know my team, right, on a human to human level. And that has completely changed the game for me. Like, gotten to know them, how they think. And they are really, just really genuinely good people. And it inspires me when I see how far they've come as well, and just all the cool things they're doing with their life. So that's the other, the happy side of it. I'm falling in love with when it comes to growing the team.
Yeah, they are wonderful. I was the same as you, quite controlling over everything, because our business, even it's not your baby, right? It doesn't define us, but it feels like it does. As, the owner, we started it. It was just us, running hard all by ourselves. You'll love Traction. There's a whole section in there. It's called Letting Go of the Vine. And that was
beautiful.
It's like, you are a business owner. You're hanging on this vine. You're hanging for, goddamn life. You don't want to let go because you don't trust if you fall, people are there to catch you. And you've just got to let go. It's like that trust fall. And Joyce actually reminds me sometimes, like, sure, I could do it quicker, but I don't need to do it because I do work fast. Mm-hmm. My team see how quickly I can make a decision and implement and take action and build. And Joyce is like, I can't work that fast. But that's okay, though, too. I also had to appreciate that everyone works at different speeds. Not many people work as fast as me. And to really lean in to what they offer the team. And they have become, my team are like my best clients now, right? It's making sure they're happy, loving on them as much as I can.
Yes.
I'm really bad for remembering birthdays. I try so hard to remember their birthday. I still forget sometimes. But just little things like that, I mean, my love language is receiving words of affirmation, baby. Just tell me I'm amazing and I'm good for a month. But the way I like to give love is gifts. And I think knowing I can now
you're nice and well,
pay my team well, because in the beginning it was a lot of bartering for staff and, contra deals to try and get help where I could. But now it's like, I feel good that I can pay my staff well and then, buy them some Pandora or, presents is fun too.
Yes. That's one of my faves. I mean, I go into a vortex and a hole of just gift buying and gift searching, which probably is not the best use of my time. But I like it.
These are my 3 a.m.
to hand choose.
3 a.m. shopping, right? I got a pile of gifts for my team that they don't know about. Well, now half of them probably do. But I've got all these awesome things at 3 a.m. shopping. Oh, Christy would like that one. Oh, Jackie would love that. And, that's me 3 a.m. in the morning shopping on my phone.
I love that. You and me. Yeah, same. Yep.
Yeah, same. All right. So you're up in Brisbane, correct? Are you a Queenslander? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Okay. So, my daughter's flying up there soon because she's got friends up there. Just turning 18, first flight by herself off to friends next month. So big trip. But my husband's family's on the Gold Coast. So we should totally catch up when I come up to Queensland next, because we try and go a few times a year. And if you're ever down Melbourne way, let me know. We catch up, and I'm backwards and forwards from Sydney all the time. I've got some team members up in Sydney. So, this side of the Australia's got lots of awesome people. We do. All right. So here's another question for you. If you could step into my shoes and you're interviewing yourself, what's a question that you would have asked yourself, but I didn't?
Oh, Curly. Oh, wow. I would probably say perhaps, Anita, what is like your biggest flirting? And I say like failure in learning.
Yes. All right. Elaborate on that
So
more.
flirting.
Flirting. There we go.
Yeah, new
What's your
word,
biggest
new word.
flirting?
So
Okay,
it's
we're going to add that one. Go
I
for it.
think mainly because I just mentioned that's what inspires me when I hear other people's kind of vulnerabilities, right? I mean, so many flirtings. I think the first thing that pops straight to my mind is and I'm still in the thick of it, is really taking the time to find out what success actually means for me instead of
Mm,
anyone else. I think, and I'll be honest, for the first probably 4 or 5 years of the business, I think I was really growing the business based on what everyone else thought was success. So you have to hit a certain revenue goal, you have to have this team size, you have to have a physical office. And I did all of that. I had a physical office when really I love working. Like when I'm in my copy cave, I'm in my copy cave. I've got my earphones on. And like when I am in a team, like I would be the worst human to be around because I've always got my earphones on in my copy cave. So like I think I was doing so many things and making so many decisions based on not what I wanted, really.
mm,
Um, and it wasn't until I started to, and this has really stuck with me, but this statement of making sure you make decisions based on this business you want to become instead of this business you want to like just maintain and band-aid. And I
yeah.
think that has helped me a lot to get clear. Am I making this decision based on my success definition and the business and the leader I want to become? Or am I making this decision based on just band aiding or maintaining what we've been doing, which is inevitable that it's going to probably break if I don't actually strategically look at it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's probably my biggest learning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I guess around success, you're building a business and you're generating revenue and you're, inspiring people, but taking a step back, and I guess I've not really thought about it for myself. It's very good
Mm.
to look at other people and go, wow, they're successful. I can't wait till I'm there. But you'll never
Yeah.
be there because
And
that's
then that
their
becomes
journey.
your
Yeah.
that's right.
Did you
And then
see
that
recent?
becomes your success definition, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was just looking recently, like Amy Porterfield is no longer the CEO of Amy Porterfield.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
I know, right?
I love that for
So
her.
uh,
Yeah.
I know. And I'm like, and then she's like having a meeting with Amy Porterfield, business CEO Amy Porterfield. And if you notice, she's now turning up more online. She's doing more lives. She's being more
Yes.
vulnerable,
Yes.
since the books come out. And, I've always looked up to Amy and watching what
Same.
she's grown, but on her business is 15 years old now, and so I've got to give myself grace. I would love to have a CEO as well, but to see that's a great position to be able to
Yeah.
get your business to. That was a real surprise to me, yeah, that she stood down as CEO, because I know how much of a
That.
perfectionist Amy is and, wanting to control
Yeah.
all the things. So that would have been a huge, huge thing
Yes.
for her. I think traveling and
Yes. Yes.
releasing the book and all of that kind of stuff must have been so wonderful for her. She's like, I've got to let go of the reins and, let go of the vine now.
Totally.
Um,
Oh,
so what,
how incredible. That would have been amazing
I
for her.
know,
Yeah.
right? So what does success mean to you? What is your definition of success?
I have like journaled on this a gazillion times, definitely more recently as well. While I've been on the honey, every single time I go away, I'm like, rain, download. Like now, write like maybe 2, 3 sentences, but when I'm away, it's like a book.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably say success to me is it's definitely more of a feeling. So, for example, I don't want to wake up feeling anxious. Like there were definitely times when I would be waking up feeling anxious in the morning.
Mm,
Probably 3 years ago, I'd wake up feeling so anxious, where I would almost feel as though I have no breathing room at all. And as a creative, I need that space, white space, to actually think and strategize and think about where we take the company to the next stage. And when I used to have, and I was that person that had back to back to back to back to back meetings. and that would just make me feel so like, ugh. So I think for me, like it's this feeling, and I also learnt this recently. I've been doing a bit of like post-grad learning in like positive psychology, where there is this element of positive and negative ratio. I don't know whether you've heard of it, Sally, but it's like for every negative event we have in our life, studies have shown that it takes three positive events to offset it, if that makes sense, for us to
Mhm.
be able to better show up and handle that negative situation. Now, that negative situation could be work, could be family, could be something, anything. But I think that has shifted my. I only started to do this maybe like earlier this year, where I've really started to get really intentional with my day so that I am injecting those three positive elements. And that could be walking my dog, dogs, my two Shih Tzus. That could be, spending lunch. Both me and Dean, my husband, we work from home, so having lunch with Dean, just three positive events in my day to day, so that I can best show up in that one negative potential event
Yeah.
um, as my best self. So I think for me, if I can do that, I feel like, to be honest, like I feel like I've got what I've wanted, like for
Mhm.
all, like for you. I've got everything I want, really. I
Yeah.
think now is my battle is just feeling really content sometimes with not pushing and goalpost moving, because I worry. I don't know if you feel like this, Sally. I feel like this conversation is getting deep, but it's
It
like
it's good. I
when
don't mind
you
it at all.
when you do not when you do not have that goalpost, you feel like you're not in this momentum, and when you feel like you're not on this momentum, you feel like that you're not. Are you reaching your potential, or are you not? I guess I'm scared of the not having goals
The
element,
plateau.
right? But
Yeah.
then, right, right. So it's like I think my hazard code now is just being able to embrace the yes, there could be meeting goals. Yes, there could be not meeting goals, but life is still heckin' amazing,
Yeah.
and not letting myself kind of spiral in the vortex. So
Yeah,
that's where that ends.
I agree. I still go through those non-breathing mornings,
Yeah.
but they come in ebbs and flows. And I think each stage, as you
Yes.
start to grow and scale, you hit another like challenge that you didn't expect, like hiring, for example, right? I didn't think that hiring and finding the right team was going to be as hard as it was. Learning to be a good leader, that is still something that I'm learning every day, how to show up well for my team
Mm.
and, lead by example. And also just success, it's made me actually sit. I think I need to sit down and do the whole, like, start
Yeah, I'm
journaling the
like,
word
what's success
success
for you?
now. What is my version of success? Because sometimes I do get stuck in the daily grind and I worry,
Yeah.
like, if, say a launch didn't go well and we didn't get as many people as we had thought, and this happened last year, I'm like, I've got to pay the team,
Mhm.
right? I'll go without. As long as the
Mhm.
team get paid, because I know
Mhm.
that it's paying their bills, their rent, their food, the team come
Yep.
first. And there were times
Yep.
where I was waking up unable to breathe because I'm like, but what if? Right? And is this what
Yep.
success is supposed to feel like? We're doing well, we're making money, but we're still stressed. What the frig's going on here? Right? I remember when I thought if I could just hit $30,000 a month, everything would be amazing, right? And I had post-it notes and I stuck 3, 0, 0, 0 on the wall on post-it notes. I'm like, when I get there, the world will be wonderful. Got there and I'm like, no, it's still not. Now it
Yep.
just pays the
Yep.
staff, right? So your
Yes. Yes.
expectations change. And
That's it.
I thought 30 grand would be like the golden number, and now that just covers the staff every month. And I
Yep.
I think it comes in waves, I guess, as you cycle through. So I'm always looking up to those people that are, quite a few years ahead of me for inspiration. But I think I do. I'm going to need to sit down with my coach, my mindset coach, to say, okay,
Yeah.
help me find what does success mean to me. So thank you. I
Yeah.
think we
I
have,
mean, I still navigate around it too, Sal. Like,
yeah,
that's
I,
why I think is sometimes it's, but also I feel like you and I, just through talking to you, like you're very good at what you do, and I think it's almost like it's a fun challenge to see what is possible, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like you don't want to lose that zing factor, and I think that is why we have these potentially like big hairy goals. But of course, as soon as we start to attach, who we are and our worth to it, then we're like, why? Like, so yeah,
Well,
do it.
do it. Totally do it. Well, we've actually, so in our community, we've got experts in all areas. And one of them, we've got a wonderful mindset coach. So I might actually get her to run a couple of sessions inside the community around success. She does a great one around money mindset, where she actually gets people to become money and to see how they see themselves as money. It's a really awesome guidance
As in, like, pretend
session.
as though you're like money, as in like a $10 bill.
Yeah, exactly. So
What?
it starts. I don't know exactly how she does it, but we do it with our clients about every quarter or so. But it starts quite guided, and then eventually she gets you to sort of go into your subconscious levels, and she guides you to then step into money, and then you are money. And then she starts to get you to write all of these things down as if you are money. And it's a little confronting and revealing, because you don't have to share what you write, but just for yourself. But then listening to what the clients write about themselves and how they see themselves as money is fascinating. But then seeing them come back and do it again and do it again. And then watching the way they attach their own values and perceptions and ideas and limiting beliefs to money, and then actually being able to shift that and just see money as it's energy, right? It's like we exchange some sort of energy in return for some other sort of energy, rather than putting so much pressure on this. It's just paper. Right. And even these days, it's just some digital code floating around in the ether. Right.
It's always the emotion and the narrative of what we see that money to mean for us. That is the real battle. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing a 3-day event next week, and I've got her in to do that session inside the community, because I've seen how powerful it has been. And I mean, she's a mindset coach for a reason. I became a certified life coach and then realized that I just cannot sit and listen to people complain for too long. I'm like, okay, now go do something about it. Stop telling me, just go do something. 3 times I can hear the same shit 3 times. And then go see Jackie. I've realized that's not my space. I thought that it would be, because I was always that shoulder for people to come and cry on. But then I'm like wanting to fix it, and then just go get some shit done. Yeah. Right. And, but she's certain personality type, it's an amazing skill set. When you found a really good life coach or a mindset coach, because they have the framework and the skills to do what they do well. Like you could write for hours, right? You're saying you're in your copy cave. Time just floats away. All of a sudden 7 hours are gone.
Yeah.
And that when you're in your zone, and she's just like that. I saw her coach one afternoon for 3 hours. After 45 minutes, I'm like, this person isn't getting it. She doesn't understand. And I'm typing to her. I'm like, she's never going to get it. 3 hours later, she got it. And I was pulling my hair out by 45 minutes, but she has the patience to do it. We have gone off onto all sorts of tangents, love. I think we need like a wine almost, and a good chat, and then maybe a dance, and let's go out clubbing together or something.
Oh my God, that would be fun, Sal. I feel like
okay. Well, we're going to have to do an in-person meetup. We talk about these in-person meetups all the time with people, but when do we really ever get to do them? Very often. So if you're traveling, let me know. I could be somewhere in the vicinity. We can hook up somewhere around the place. So, all right.
Please. I miss in-person stuff.
Yeah, me too. We've been at this for nearly an hour and a half. Oh, my Lord. All right. So we have another segment in our show, and it's called Fast Talk with Sally. So on Fast Talk with Sally, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We have 1 minute. You have to answer them as fast as possible. Let's see how many we can get through in 1 minute. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Cats or dogs? Nice, easy one.
Dogs.
Uh, where is where are you on weekends? Home or with friends?
Home.
One place that you would like to stay forever.
Oh, wow. New York.
Ocean or rainforest?
Ocean.
Nice. Fries or mashed potato?
Fries.
Biggest fear?
Oh, I have so many. But swimming in open water.
What makes you angry?
People who are rude to other people for no reason, like hospitality people or just even wait staff, just rude people.
Time's up.
Woo!
Awesome. Well
Oh,
done.
that was fun.
Always up for a bit of fun. I love the answers that people have when we do that. Now, I have to get you to complete a sentence. This is one that Ma always makes me do. So you're going to say, "Hi, my name is Anita Seek, and I sparkle because." So, "Hi, I'm Anita Seek, and I sparkle because," and complete the sentence.
Okay. Hi, I'm Anita Seek and I sparkle because wow, this question. I sparkle because I like to I don't know, I'm an inner weirdo. I don't know. I I don't know.
There is
That's the
no
first thing
wrong
that came to
answer,
my
and if that
mind.
came out first, hey, I think
Uh,
we get on
that's
well
the first
because
thing that came up. I'm an
I'm all
inner
about the
weirdo.
crazy. I'm all about the crazy. I think it's fabulous. We have to embrace the crazy because, life's too short to be too
Yes,
straight. So,
100%. You get it. You know what's up.
oh, totally. Now, we're going to have to catch up as well. And maybe we could get you on with Jackie. You're of Asian descent. Jackie is of Asian descent. I am of Asian descent, but I have no idea about that side of my life. Apparently, I'm Eurasian, and I didn't even know it until recently. So I think it's fascinating. I'm just starting to learn about my Asian heritage at the moment. So I'm finding it, because you said, you came from that typical Asian background as well, doctor, lawyer, all of the things, and hearing all the different stories. So I might get a few of my Asian friends on now, and you just made me think, I think we might do like a whole Asian friend episode and share some stories
Sounds
around,
fun.
because so many I've noticed so many Asians are entrepreneurial business owners, quite driven, right? There is
Yep.
just this
Yep.
drive and expectation I'm noticing within the
yeah.
Asian families, which, I was brought up very Aussie family. I didn't know my biological. That's where I got all of the slightly Asian look from. So it's really fascinating. So I think, look, I'm hooking up another show without talking to my team, but I can because it's my boss.
It's just like, what are
I'm
you
the
doing,
boss.
Sally? Yeah.
If Jackie's
Great,
watching
I love
right now,
that.
she'll be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. She actually started her own YouTube channel with a few of her Asian friends called Rice and Shine. And I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool. You have to go check
Genius.
it out.
So great. I'm keen.
Awesome, babe. Well, we're all in like Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. So, the three down the line there, we're doing all right. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much. I feel like I could talk forever, but I actually have to go and get ready to pick my daughter up from school because it's her birthday. So, do the adulting stuff now. Well, sort of adulting. I don't know if I do too much of that, but it has been
I feel
so
like it'd be
lovely.
very fun.
I've had such a lovely time
Me
chatting with
too.
you. We'll definitely have to catch up and chat. But thank you so much for joining. Now, but before we go, I have to ask, if people want to find out more about you, where do you hang out? Where's your social place for people to go stalk what it is you do?
Yes. Come find me on Instagram. I mean, it's all the same. Anita Siek, ANITA SIEK on Instagram, the team at Word Fetty. And we've also got a podcast called Brand Fetty. So,
Yeah.
yay, come be friends.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I had so much fun. Now, as always, guys, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming lives. We're live every week, Tuesday at 9 o'clock, or some random times as well, which we did today. So have a great one. Thank you so much for joining us on the live podcast Batching Day. And thank you also to Anita for joining us today and my final guest for the day. Thank you so much. Have a great day. All right. Bye, guys. Never let anyone dull your sparkle, and make sure you get one income producing activity done each and every day. Bye.
I will not bow down. Keep putting me off, I'm not gonna change my mind.